Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Violet Rain.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Violet B. Rain, and our guest today is Maria Teresa. She's a heart-centered, highly conscious healer who embraces her sensitivities as superpowers, living her motto, triumphing over trauma by conquering her own traumatic experiences, including physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, an addiction to drugs and alcohol, and an eating disorder. Maria has emerged as an empowered psychic medium and channel with a unique ability to see souls. So, sounds like you've had quite a journey in your life.
Yeah, just a little bit, Violet, just a little bit.
Well, I find that most people walking their spirituality or their sacred path have come through lots of trauma. I think a lot of people have this assumption that if you're spiritual, that everything is perfect, and it doesn't always work out exactly that way.
You know, it's really funny. I'm going to take these off because this is not working, so it's fine. I'm like, I can hear her without these headphones. Yes, for sure. It's like I say to my clients and the people that come to the events that I hold, there was never one time in my life where I said, I'm going to be a shaman. I want to be a shaman. Never once, never once. So for me, this has been me really leaning in and accepting myself and my gifts because these were things that I have run from for most of my life, which is what created a lot of chaos and dysfunction for me.
I think most people have that experience, right? They're super sensitive to the energy around them. They're seeing, hearing, or knowing or feeling things that they can't understand. And they're afraid to really lean into them sometimes or to figure out how to manage that experience in a better way, because I find a lot of people are ignoring it, pushing it away, and spirit keeps shoving us forward, right? Keeps pushing us towards things that we've never thought about, like you in shamanism. You never thought about doing that. I never thought about doing what I do today. But spirit keeps kind of pushing us in that direction.
For sure. Yes, for sure. I feel that, a lot of people also too, I think, are so interested in like spiritual experiences and are looking for them and seeking them. And for me, it was just the opposite. It was not something that I was seeking at all. So it was really just learning to accept myself, to be myself, to stop running, hiding, dimming my light. Is this okay if I'm like this? Because the message I got from those around me was that it was not. It's that we're interesting paradox of you're too much, and then I felt like I wasn't enough. So yeah, it was a lot of I say for the first 40 years of my life, there was a lot of unraveling, a lot of unraveling. And so I just celebrated my 48th birthday last month, and I am so happy with me and where I am and what I'm doing, like way more than at any other time in my life. So I'm really
I
grateful.
I love that. Happy with me. For
Yeah.
those listening, I think the majority of the people on the planet would say, I'm not happy being me. So, how do you get to happy to be me? How do you get to that
Oh my goodness.
place of being happy with yourself?
Well, I get there in a lot of ways. I mean, it's taken some time, my spiritual awakenings have happened throughout my life, but most abruptly was when I tried to take my own life in 2011. And here we are, fast forward many years later, and I'm happy with me. I had to learn who I am, what I am, and what I'm here for. And once I found the art of shamanism through a teacher, um, was willing to unearth the pit of my own trauma. We had a session together, and my life has not looked the same since. And so then it was like I was just awake and ready to look at these things and to heal. It was such a beautiful, divinely orchestrated path. I always say like everything happens in divine time. And so for me, it took quite a long time for me to want to look in the mirror. And one of the things I say to myself all the time is like, I love you, Maria. I love you. Like you did it. You made it. Like I had to look at and accept every part of myself. And that comes through doing a lot of shadow work. It comes through taking good care of myself. It comes through looking at the things that I have pushed off and thought were things that needed to go. And it's like, we are in these bodies. We have to be our own best friends, our own heroes, our own advocates. Nobody out there is doing that for us. It's not their job. It's our job. And so I'm here to help people to feel that way within themselves and to share their own gifts. And I'm like the perfect person to do it because I've been there. I've done that.
So talk to me about, you mentioned the word shamanism a couple times, and what my journey, what it has taught me is everybody has a different perspective of what shamanism is
Mm.
and where they come from. So share with us your perspective of shamanism and what that is to you.
I believe that I am a bridge from this physical reality to the other dimensions, to higher realms. Specifically, I am connected to the angelic realm, light beings, goddesses, gods, primordial, incarnate. It is such an interesting position to be in, to know that I have done this in many, many lifetimes. And the way that I move energy is through toning and chanting, and through light language. And these things all just came to me as I started to really tune into my gifts and how I understand the language of energy, because it is invisible and it is something that is felt. Um, and really putting an emphasis on healing through Mother Earth, through all the elements. So when I work with people, I like to create healing grids based on their astrological elements. Um, Being a crystal priestess is something that I have also done in many lifetimes. And so crystals very much speak to me. So I'm holding crystals in my hands right now, the Mauryan quartz crystals. I see you have crystals all around you. So it's a very big part of my healing. I also like to use herbs and oils. There's candles around me. So like it's a lot of layering of different things that speak to me that make it my own language. Shamanism is an art, and all of us have a different way of connecting to spirit. And so I use those gifts within me and what I can pull from to connect and to help other people. And I've just always been able to do this. I think I was doing it in a very detrimental way for me until I met somebody who helped me to understand how to do it safely. And so, tuning into people's energetic fields, whatever they're ready to heal, whatever their soul is speaking to me of is what we work on, connecting them to their guides, doing energetic upgrades. Yeah, it's really deep and really profound, and it's never the same. I'm never not in awe with a session with a client.
I love that. I love that. You talk about light language. For
Hmm.
those listening that have maybe never heard of light language, what is light language?
Okay, well, I will tell you what it is, and I'll give you a little sample.
Okay.
So, light language is a combination of the language that your soul has spoken in all lifetimes. Um, it is like a mashup, and that is how I understand it. And so, I've been priming my body for years. I don't judge my voice. I just let it out, and I've always loved to sing and tone and chant. And on Lionsgate of 23, I was on the beach doing a personal healing on myself. And all of a sudden, I just started. Eraya hosa parepitele au mochokatele aseke erekata o hapatele meseke erekala keteto ahatetere mashuka ahatepetere mosoka ayatea. And it just started to come out.
That's beautiful. Do you understand what you're saying or what the meaning is, or is it
Sometimes,
just the
yeah.
tones?
I'm sorry. Yes. So sometimes there's always an intention to it. There's a feeling for it, but light language is meant to be felt. It's not meant to be interpreted. And I've worked with many people now over the years who say to me like, "Wow, I just I understand like what you're saying." And I'm like, "That's cool." That's awesome. It's just meant to be felt. And I know from working with people that it has such a deep and profound effect on their energetic system. A lot of times people who work with me will have a spiritual purge, like a physical purge. And they'll ask me like, if this is normal. I'm like, yes, it's very, very normal. So make sure that you are drinking water and getting enough rest and breathing. When you're receiving light language, it's important to be grounded and to just breathe through it, but it is very powerful. Yeah, so the end of this year I started hosting live events where I have people just receive what comes through for about 45 minutes to an hour.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. You talk about spiritual awakening. So, somebody
Mhm.
listening that doesn't understand what spiritual awakening is or what that means, what is a spiritual awakening and how do different people experience spiritual awakening so more people can understand? Maybe that's what's happening to me and I don't
Mm.
know it.
I think it is a time in your life where you really start to question where we are, why we're here, what am I to do? I'm going to review all of the things I was told to believe. Do they match with me? I don't know. It's a questioning. It's a questioning of everything in a review process. And so that's what consciousness is. So a higher consciousness is us coming into more of an alignment and an awareness of our truth. And that truth can only be felt within heart. And I believe it's led by soul because our souls come here time and time again to continue our journey through human form. I believe we are love, energy in human form, meant to have all of these lessons. And so it's literally and it can be very, very disruptive. It's not all love and light and rainbows and unicorns. It can be pretty tough to look at some things and um to really get real, to get real. I mean, that's what I think a lot of it is for me and for people that I'm working with. Um, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to guide people and watch them walk through the shedding of like, who we're told to be and what we're told to believe and what's okay. And it's like, how do you really feel? How do you feel about all those things? Um, it's
I,
really, me like literally loathing myself, feeling like I was so worthless and hopeless to a place where I am today, where I can honestly say I'm happy with myself and I love myself. I mean, that's an awakening.
I love that. I love that. And those listening, if you just think about it, where you work, your job, your relationships, your friendships, everything in your life. where does it feel right? Where does it feel like you're authentic? Where does it feel like you're aligned with something? Because when we're doing things that we've been told to do or we're expected to do, most of the time we can dread doing them. We don't want to be there. It feels uncomfortable. We feel drained afterwards. And that includes everything. So your heart really guides you in the right direction, in the right path. So if you're starting to question everything in your life, it means your heart's trying to guide you. Your soul is trying to show you that this isn't for you. You're not aligned with this. I always tell people, if you feel like you're swimming upstream and fighting a current all the way, then you're probably going in the wrong direction. If you feel like you're being and it's beautiful and you can lean into it and you have a passion and a joy and happiness with what's happening, then you're in the right place. It's those uncomfortable, really hard spots. Now, it doesn't mean that your life is perfect and you're not going to get uncomfortable, because sometimes we have to move through a place of fear, which can be very uncomfortable, to get to the other side where all the good stuff is, right? Because we're really here to have experiences, and our reactions to those experiences are super important. And how we react, how we move through them, how do we get through them, how do we understand them? Because that's where all the learning, evolution, spiritual growth comes from, is in those processes. So, I think a lot of people are either fighting a spiritual awakening or trying to navigate through it or have been through it on the planet. Some people are shutting down and ignoring it. Some people are just fighting with it. And we have this energetic push and pull of this chaos until we go, okay, this isn't working. There's got to be something else. And that's the spiritual awakening coming in. So I love how you brought that through. And living an authentic life, I think that's important. So what does it mean to live an authentic life?
Hmm. It means taking the mask off. Like, very simple. It means taking the mask off, the mask that I have created in order to keep me safe. Because I'm always safe. Like, that's the truth, And so, like, going back a little bit to what we were speaking about with awakenings, what you resist persists. And when you can accept, that is the game changer. Acceptance. It doesn't mean that it's okay, or that, it is, though. Like, it always is. And so when you can get to a place of acceptance, life just flows. And so it's really just like, for me, it was developing a pause, and not just like reacting to everything. It was learning to respond in a way that feels aligned with my nature. And so, yeah, being my authentic self means me being me in every scenario.
I love that, because when we can be ourselves, that's why a lot, I think about relationships, partnerships, we have a tendency naturally to try to be what somebody wants us to be,
Mm.
right? To adapt to what the expectation is, whether it's what mom thinks you should be doing, whether it's what your partner thinks you should be doing, or what your friends think you should be doing. And what happens in those relationships is, somewhere down the line, you can't take it anymore. You can't continue being what you're not. And then your authentic self shows up and it throws everything out of whack. Where I tell people, if you start dating, and you start seeing someone, show up as you. Don't try to be what
Hmm.
they think you should be. Don't try to be anything but what you are. Because if you can start a relationship in that way, it'll last a long time, because either it works or it doesn't work, right? Either it fits or it doesn't fit. But we tend to, I know when I was younger, I would adapt to what they thought I should be, right? And naturally, because we want to be accepted, we want to be loved, and we feel like, or we think that is how we can be loved, is by being what they want us to be. When reality, you can only do that for so long. And then you want to scream because that's not who you are, right? We all should show up who we are no matter what that is. So I love that aspect. And authentic doesn't mean hurting people or going up to somebody and go, I don't really like you because blah, blah, blah. Just means showing up who you are and being okay with it. I love your aspect of I love myself. I wish everybody loved themselves.
Well, because that's where the magic is. And so I'd love to share a poem with you that speaks. Every interview I do, I usually lean in and listen to my guidance on which one should be shared because I have many, many, many. This is called The Return of Radiant Becoming. In the morning, as the musings awaken, calling me to meet the skyline's glory, my soul rises above the remnants of the past, transforming the day into something purely celebratory. Illusionary pressures from a lifetime lived in shadowy darkness. Pain spills away from my heart in tears of joyful aliveness. The psychic empowered stillness dissolves the tightness. Broken free from the shackles my soul was once bound in, a brand new book opens to a fresh, clean slate. I'm ready now to claim the future spoken by the ancient oracle as my fate. Sun drenched happiness beams open, revealing heaven's starborn gate. Where destiny drifts towards me in waves, I no longer hesitate, inhaling the promise of becoming, exhaling the remnants of fear. The clarity of who I am now comes shimmering, crystalline, and clear. With every step I take, the cosmos rearranges in my name, aligning pathways of purpose once hidden by sorrow and shame. Ancient winds whisper blessings only the awakened can hear, reminding me that rebirth is not a moment, but a frontier, a horizon widening with each truth I dare to claim, a soul rekindled, rising unashamed. So I walk forward, barefoot in the dawn's embrace, a luminous traveler returning to my rightful place, where love is the compass and freedom the state, crossing the threshold of my ever unfolding soul destined to meet its mate.
That's beautiful. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I felt like it fit with everything we're talking about. I always say to my clients, you cannot externalize love. Love has to come from inside. The things that we do and the people we meet, those are all reflections of ourself. But you can't, it's going to be an addition, which is why it aligns and feels so great, or it doesn't feel great. But it all has to come from inside. So we've got to like learn ourselves, love ourselves, and live from the inside out.
I love that. So share with our audience if they wanted to work with you, what are some of the things that you offer? We'll have your website and all the descriptions and information on where people can contact you, but share a little bit of some of the things that you offer.
Sure. I offer one-to-one healing sessions over the phone. I work mostly over the phone. I do see people also in person. Um, so those are energy sessions. I also do mediumship sessions where I help people connect to their loved ones on the other side. I create energy sprays. I do long distance rituals. I do tarot card readings. I do mentorship, one-to-one mentorship. I am also teaching this art of shamanism. So I take on apprentices and help people be the healers they're meant to be. And right now I'm creating a group called From the Heart, where I'm going to hold space for people ready for transformation. And that is something that's brand new, that's in the works of 2026. I offer poetry. I have, 6 books of published poetry. I do light language events. So there's a lot of things I have to offer. I'm a pretty small, petite person, and spirit has packed a lot of fire energy into my being that needs to come out in a lot of different ways. And so I have all those things listed on both my websites, Emotional Musings, which is my blog, and then that links to my services site, which is the Musing Shaman. So
I love that.
those
I
are the
love
ways to
that.
get in touch with me. Yeah. It's not hard to get in touch with me. I'm on Google. I'm on also all the social platforms. I share everything that I've experienced and done. And yeah, so my social platforms, you'll see a lot of my poetry, my light language. Um, Lately, I'm working on this From the Heart podcast where, well, it's a playlist on YouTube right now that I just am talking about all of my experiences because I know people out there are going to resonate with what I have been through and what they have been through, and together we rise.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. And thank you for sharing with us your sacred magic, because that's what really this podcast is about, is the sacredness and magic. And you're definitely sharing that with the world. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I believe that as well. We are all here to share our unique gifts, and that is our magic.
That is our magic. And those listening, please like, comment, follow, share this information with people that might be interested. Excuse me, whether you're watching the video or listening to it on a podcast, we would love to hear your comments and love for you to share it. Thanks so much. And I hope you have a sacred and magical week, and that we'll see you really soon on our next show.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Violet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Violet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.